Alright, welcome back everybody to Low Life Plays. Here's another deck tech from yours truly. I have been wanting to experiment with some deck styles I haven't really played a lot with. So Grixis is one of those kind of areas where I haven't dabbled too deep into this area. I know that's really excellent, a lot of the cards interest me. This is going to be a Reanimator take on Kess. So really fun stuff. I've been wanting to also try a Reanimator theme, and it was between her and a few different options. I really like the new Marchesa that came out, Dealer of Death. And it was, or going the Esper route with maybe Rafine or Cedrus or any of that kind of stuff. But this is what we built. So before I jump into it, just please remember, if you're liking this content, leave a like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. It helps me out a lot. But let's dive into this. So Kess, she has 1 in Grixis, and she's a flying 3/4. She's really here for her big effect where once during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard. If it was cast, you exile it, if it was cast that way. Love the secret layer for this. It was super cheap to pick up, so I was happy to swap out my old Kess for this weird potion bottle take on Kess. Love the art style. Jumping right into removal. A lot of our stuff I'm trying to aim for more instants and sorceries just because that's really ideally what we're going to want to do, just because it gives us the ability to flash it back with Kess. So we run Chaos Warp, classic stuff. Blasphemous Act, gotta have that board wipe. Raven Form is a really fun one. It's an exile of an artifact effect, which can be really nice if you really got to get rid of a combo piece or something. And then Go for the Throat. I've always been partial to Go for the Throat just because it's fun. I'm going to Go for the Throat that. Just destroys target non-artifact creature. Really flexible. And then we have a few protection things. We're running Deflecting Swat, Arcane Denial, and Counterspell. These are our big just things to protect Kess when she's in play. Or just protect whatever we're doing. We're just really value reanimating with this deck. It's just fun to just have some big boys out here. So we're Grixis, so we are artifact ramping hard. So we're going to do that by running all of these bad boys. So we're going to run all the talismans, all the signets, Fellwar Stone, and that's our big thing for our artifact ramp. As you can see, we're running all the talismans, all the signets. Definitely good stuff there. We also run Curse of Opulence. I'm pretty partial to this card. 1 red mana, and it's just essentially like, hey, you should attack that guy, because who doesn't love just free gold, it definitely is a good incentive to steer people the other direction while also ramping you. That's going to jump us over into our looting effects. So we have a lot of creatures and spells that are going to loot. So we're going to draw, we're going to discard, we're going to draw our reanimation spells, we're going to discard our big boys, at least that's the hope. So Moria Scavenger is a really nice one that came out in Lord of the Rings. It's a Death Toucher with haste. The haste is huge. That's why we're willing to pay the 3 instead of the typical 2 for a looting creature. It's a 1/4, so it's just everything we need. It's a blocker. It's awesome. But either way, you discard a card, you draw a card. But if the discarded card was a creature, you amass Orcs 1. Awesome. That's what we want. That's what we're trying to discard. So excellent. Rona, also probably one of my other favorite looting style cards. 2 mana, 1/3. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap Rona, whatever. But really, you draw, then you discard. The draw, then discard is definitely my preferred way, but it's good either way. It's a 1/3, draw, discard, tap. You can pay 5 into Phyrexian to transform her. You can only activate it as a sorcery. She turns into Rona, Tolarian Obliterator. And she's a trampling 5/5 that whenever a source deals damage to Rona, that source's controller exiles a card from their hand at random. If it's a land, you can put it into play. Otherwise, play it without paying its mana cost. You can build a whole deck based on just Rona. So having her in it as a looter is really nice. Then Likeliness Looter, this is literally a looter. It's a flying 1/1 for 2. You draw, you discard, but then the X is really cool on this card. So X, it becomes a copy of target creature in your graveyard with mana value X, except it also flies. So excellent. You discard a card, you don't have a reanimation spell, Likeliness Looter can just become whatever you need. We run Vohar, Voldalian Desecrator. This guy, he's great. He's another looting effect. You draw a card, you discard a card. If you discard an instant or sorcery this way, opponents lose a life, you gain a life. You're not really doing that. You're trying not to at least, but you can. But the cool thing here is you can pay 2, sack him, and you may cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard this turn, and then you exile if it was cast that way. So maybe Kess gets removed. Backup Kess, baby. That's what this says. Merfolk Looter, classic looter. Love the art style for this one. Draw a card, then choose and discard a card. Now we're getting into our spells that are going to draw a discard. So our spell looting effects, we're trying to keep them instant speed, so that way right before our turn comes around, we can do this loot effect, discard some big bad boy, and then they don't have the time to like Bajuka Bogus or, you know, any other sort of interaction that way to get rid of our graveyard or get rid of that card, hopefully. So we thrill the possibility. This one's excellent. You know, you discard a card, draw 2 cards. Super cool. Big score. This one's a little bit more expensive, but it does kind of pay you back in the way that it creates 2 treasure tokens. So on turn 4, maybe instead of Kess, you plan a little bit more ahead, and you get to discard a card first, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. So there's a lot of reanimation spells you could even draw into and then use those treasures. So you could pay 4, discard a big baddie, then make the 2 treasures, use them to animate dead, and get back one of our bad dudes. Forbidden Alchemy, another really cool one. I love the art style on this one. This was a super cool little promo thing. And really what we do here is we look at the top 4 cards, put 1 in your hand, rest in your graveyard. Those are both the places we want cards to be. And Flashback is great. You know, if Kess isn't out, we don't have to have them out. Ill-Timed Explosion, one of the best looting effects. I mean, it's so good in this deck. Just because you're like, okay, essentially, you draw 2 cards, then you may discard 2 cards. You may discard 2 cards. When you do, Ill-Timed Explosion deals X damage to each creature, where X is the greatest mana value among cards discarded this way. Big thing I like here is the flexibility, because it's the may. Most times, yeah, you want to be discarding anyway. So I get to draw a discard 2 and then wipe the board, because it's like, okay, I'm going to discard Jin-gitaxias, deal 10 damage to everything. Deal with that. Demand Answers. This is an excellent card for murders. Love the cool little art style on this one. And then you discard a card, draw 2 cards. Instant speed, excellent. Faithless Looting. This one is sorcery speed, but it's 1 red, dude. You draw 2, then discard 2. It has flashback on itself. Gotta have it. Frantic Search. This one's super nice. I really love the art here, too. Really cool. And then you just draw 2, discard 2, and then untap the lands used to pay for this, so it's free. Free? I'm a big free fan. This one is probably one you would cast on your own turn. So, Windfall is excellent, right? You're discarding cards. You might have a hand that sucks. You want your cards in the graveyard, so you just get to discard stuff to where your second hand, and then everyone else gets to mess up their game plan of what they were doing. Nothing feels better than someone tutoring and then you windfalling. Excellent feeling. Super good. Insatiable Avarice. This is kind of a test slot. You know, I think it's good here. Really, I mean, it's a draw 3 for 3 is typically what you're going to do for it, and then you can tack on the extra 2 if you really want to search. It can be great for endgame stuff if you really need that reanimation target, where you need, like, we have 2 really big spells that can really turn any game to our side, so maybe that's what you're going to use it for. Then we're going to run some graveyard tutoring, right? I mean, we want to have what we need. It's very toolboxy in that way. Just, I mean, that's kind of how graveyard reanimation decks work a lot of the time anyway, is you go get a big bomb that would be really good right now, and then you put it into play. So Entomb, instant speed, search your library for a card, put it in your graveyard. Super excellent card. Lively Dirge. This one's a new one from Thunder Junction. Excellent card, uncommon. I really like it. 2 mana and Spree. For 3, you just tutor a card to your graveyard. But for if you want to do the 2, you can return up to 2 creatures with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it can either go tutor a big baddie or maybe get some of our looters to help block. So really nice. Buried Alive. Classic graveyard tutor here. And the little skull icon. Love it. You just go get 3 creatures, put them in your graveyard. And it's up to 3, so you don't have to pick 3. So it's really nice. Very flexible. Now that we got the cards there, how are we going to get them back? That's what you're asking, right? I know it. You know it. We all know it. He wumbo, she wumbo. Dread Return. Classic. Pay 4, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Has its own flashback. Excellent. Rise of the Dark Realms. This one, crazy. Right, 7 and 2 black. This can shut out games. You know, after a board wipe especially, you just Rise the Dark Realms something, and just, there you go. It's over. Then we're going to run with our Makeshift Mannequin. I love this because it's instant speed reanimation. You know, you're paying for that premium here, so you can instant speed. So maybe on their end step, you have 6 mana up. You go Entomb, or 5 mana, sorry. You go Entomb, and then you do this, and then it's like, okay, now on my turn, I have some awful, terrible thing. Or even on their second main, you go get Jin-gitaxias. They just have a huge hand, and you just make them discard. Super good. Animate Dead. Classic. I do try and stick to the sorcery instant speeds to value with Kess, but when they're this cheap, I mean, come on, right? Animate Dead. And the fact that this is just enters the battlefield, enchant a card in a graveyard, so the flexibility here helps me just mitigate that cost, I think. Persist. Very classic reanimation target spell here. You know, just target non-legendary creature. So we do have a lot of non-legendaries, so we'll see. You know, we do have some bangers that we can get with this. Exhume. Exhume is a great one. 2 mana. Each player chooses a creature card, puts it into play. Yours are going to be more annoying than theirs. That's just how Exhume works. That's the rules of Exhume. Here's one of our other big, crazy cards that can just wreck games. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker, put those into play. They're Phyrexians. I mean, that's just insane value, man. Breach the Multiverse is just such a strong card. I love it. Dance of the Dead. It's just animate dead, really. I mean, that's what it's in here for. It has a lot more stipulations to it. It's tapped. You have to pay to untap it. So, it's not, I mean, it's just, it's cool in its own way. The art's sick. So, that's one reason to play Dance of the Dead, just because the art is so cool. Incarnation Technique. Never had a situation where I'm not getting so much more value than someone else. Oh, hey, Spellslinger deck. Would you love to mill your spells and maybe get one of your creatures that you run 6 of? Excellent, let's do it. While I get like 2 giant bombs. That sounds cool. Incarnation Technique is awesome for us. Stitch Together, super good. We're going to have Threshold most of the time, so just being able to Threshold yourself and just turn it into a Reanimation for 2, really, really good. Classic Reanimate. This is actually what sparked my desire to build Reanimation, is I pulled Dealer of Death and this Reanimate spell, and I was like, man, I really kind of want to go the Grixis route and try some Reanimating. Love the art for this. Just boom, right out that coffin. Just, you know, 1 mana, sorcery speed. You lose life equal to its mana value. It's whatever, dude. Necromancy. Love the art for this one. Super gross. Really, just, you know, choose target card in any graveyard. And then when it comes into play, just enchants that creature. If the enchantment's gone, bury this. Victimize. Super fun card here. You know, we have death triggers. We can do death too. And you just choose 2 creatures in a graveyard, sack 1 creature, boom. These 2 come into play tapped. This is going to start into our creatures, right? Yeah, this is going to get into our creatures. Let me just peep that. Ooh, what's that? Ooh, ooh. Garna. So she's in here for 2 big reasons. Flash, instant speed to get all of our creatures back, right? When she ETBs, return to your hand all creature cards from your graveyard that were put there to the battlefield this turn. It can just be nice. This is a flex slot. I'm thinking about this. It's really in here for this bottom line, where we give other creatures haste. Haste can be a pain in Reanimator decks. You know, you reanimate something huge, they have 3 chances to go around and kill it before you can actually get any attack value from it. So just being able to get haste and then just has the benefit of being a flash recursion effect, that's just nice too. And then we already saw him, we already saw the preview, the beautiful Ancient Copper Dragon. You know, whenever he attacks, he ruins their life. And you just get a ton of treasure. Here's one, you know, though these are not legendary, a lot of them. So, Combustible Gearhulk. First striking 6/6 for 6. Bring him back. Either you get to draw cards, or you get to mill, which is awesome, and deal damage, which is great. Lord Xander. Yeah, we're gross. We're gross in here. So, Xander is awesome to reanimate. When he ETBs, your target player discards half their hand, rounded up, and then when he attacks, they mill half their library. When he dies, they sack half their permanents. He's just such a pain, because it's like, what do? You know, you have to exile him, really, to make him not such a huge pain. Worm Coil Engine, classic Reanimator target, death-touching, life-linking, bad boy himself. Another classic Reanimator here, Kakusho, really strong, just so strong. I mean, he comes into play, he's a 5/5 for 6 flying, he's already big. And then when he dies, drain, gain. Excellent stuff. Often a target. Noxious Gearhulk, blow something up, gain life, menacing 5/4. Yes, please. I am running this for right now. I often swap, especially like really nice card arts. So we got that T-Rex Atali. Love the T-Rex art on this. And Atali is just another banger that comes out when you're trying to reanimate bombs. When he attacks, exile a top card of each player's library, and then you can cast them without paying their mana cost. Imagine you play Atali and get another one of these bombs for free. Crazy. This is the Core Augur one. This is the one that he has flash, and then when he limits your opponent's hand sizes down by 7, and he increases your hand by 7. So you draw up to 7 at your end step, and then at your opponent's end steps, they have to discard. So he is just such a huge pain, especially if you just flash him out. Like I said, you know, instant speed reanimate him. with Makeshift Mannequin in response to, like, I don't know, oh, I'm moving to end step. Are you, though? Are you? Super annoying. Sheoldred, another excellent reanimation target. Reason to be in black outside of all the awesome reanimation stuff. Swamp Walk, whatever. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then at the beginning of opponents' upkeeps, they sack creatures. Super cool. So, I mean, this would be an excellent pickup for a Reanimator deck, but also if you're running Obeka, the new one, also a good pickup to have. The real true Dami Mami, Sheoldred the Apocalypse, Death Touch. Whenever you draw, you gain 2 life. Whenever opponents draw, they cry. Jin-gitaxias. This is the Progress Tyrant. This was another reason I really wanted to put blue in the reanimation in any way I could get it in. And it's just super irritating for your opponents to deal with. They have to waste 2 spells oftentimes to try and deal with him, and then if you have any interaction around him, and you're in Reanimator, so it's like, okay, they destroyed him, fine, I'll just get him right back. It's so annoying to deal with Jin. And then he doubles your reanimates, your instant speed, or your instant or sorcery speed reanimation spells. Just crazy value. Toxrill, gross. He's a gross card, but he's fun, and we get to play him for cheap, so we're going to do it. So, essentially, at the beginning of each end step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. They get -1/-1 for each slime, and then whenever a creature I don't control dies that has a slime counter on it, I make slugs, and then I can eat the slugs for card draw. This is an interesting ad. This is a new one I'm trying. Oveka Enigma Goliath. It seems really, really fun. You know, if we're able to cheat this out, I mean, you can cheat stuff out early as turn 3, right? Like, you just discard, and then you reanimate something. You discard this, reanimate it. This is crazy. I mean, they wouldn't even have the mana to pay to deal with this thing. It's a flying ward 3, pay 3 life. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create that many goblins. They gain haste until end of turn. That's awesome. That's so cool. So I'm definitely interested to see how that goes. Nezahal? Nezahal's classic. You know, he just draws you cards whenever your opponents play things. You can discard 2 bounce him, so you can discard your big boys to just get him into play. He can't be countered. Super good value. He does everything we want to do. Grave Titan, he's excellent. I love the art on this Grave Titan. He's kind of more of a flex slot at this moment in time. I'm not sure about his place here. He is 6 mana. I think he fits pretty well, but time will tell. I like him though. Archon of Cruelty, probably one of our #1 picks, man. When we're reanimating stuff or when we're graveyard tutoring, just so much chaos does this guy bring to the board. ETBs or attacks, target opponent sacks a creature or a planeswalker, discards, loses life, then you draw and gain life. So much value in Archon of Cruelty. Then we're going to get into our lands. So we're running Shizo Death Storehouse. We have a lot of legendary creatures. It's nice to just give them fear. That's fun. And then same thing goes for Shinka, the Blood-Soaked Keep. This just makes them gain first strike until end of turn. That can be nice. Then we have Malakir Mire. You know, just play it when it's a land if you need to. If not, it can just be a protection spell. And then for our lands, we're going to run Exotic Orchard, Xander's Lounge, Command Tower for our any color lands. And then for our black-red, we're going to run Sulphurous Springs, Luxury Suite, Tainted Peak, Blackcleave Cliffs, Foreboding Ruins, Smoldering Marsh, and Dragon Skull Summit. I've always loved this art for Dragon Skull Summit. I mean, that's just so cool. For our dimmer lands, we're going to run Watery Grave, Morphic Pool. Can't believe I pulled this stupid thing. So nice. Pre-release packs for the win. Those are really our only black-green lands. Or, yeah, no, black-blue, sorry. And then we're going to run for our green, I don't know why I keep saying green, for our red and blue. Frostboil Snarl, Training Center, Steam Vents, Spirebluff Canal, and Shivan Reef. These are going to be our boys that we're going to run. And then we're going to get into our basics. So we're only running 3 mountains. Red is definitely the color that we don't need the most of, so we don't run a lot of basics for it. We do run a lot of we run a lot of islands. So here's our island suite. We're going to run 7 islands. Love this treatment for islands. Good stuff. And then we're going to run some swamps. So we're going to have these New Capenna neat little swamp guys. We're going to run 6 swamps. So, all that being said, that really kind of sums it up for what we want to do with Kess. You know, we want to drop some of those big, disgusting bombs into play really early on, and just generate so much value and make people dislike that we get to have Jin-gitaxias turn 3. You know, that's the main reason you run this deck, is just so you can drop Jin on turn 3. That's super frustrating, and it will make everybody cry. But if you enjoyed this content, you want to try Kess for yourself, you know, feel free. Just please leave a like on this video. Comment if you see any other cool bombs or other things I really got to try, you know, other ways to try Kess in that Reanimator style. That'd be super fun. And subscribe if you're enjoying what I'm doing here. It really helps me out. Know that things are going well. But outside of all that, I will see you guys in the next deck tech. Thanks. Bye.